Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this double slider card. I haven't made one in years, but there's no time limit on an idea, so we get to use some new colours and some lovely new stamps. So I'll set it off to one side and I will bring in the ingredients. The first is a piece of smoky slate and it's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, so that ever so conveniently fits into a standard envelope. The other piece of smoky slate we'll need is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2, and there is a lead piece of basic white which is 2 by 3 1/4. As always, of course, the directions and dimensions will all be on my blog, so you can just sit back and relax. You don't have to frantically scribble anything down. We need 2 little scraps of basic white which are just 2 by 1. They're not, you know, any old little cardstock would do for that one. And then the lovely blue, the boho blue, is we need 2 pieces. So 2 pieces 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 and 2 pieces of basic white which layer onto that, and they are 3 by 4 1/4. And then there is another piece of white for stamping the snowflake. So let's get on and get some of these things built and done and show you how to make them. First of all, I'm going to stamp the snowflake. So I'll bring in the smoky slate ink, and I'm using today Peaceful Season for some of the words, but mostly the one of a kind stamp set because it's got the snowflakes, it's got lovely greetings that go with it, and it's also got this wonderful little die. So that's what I'll be using today. So the snowflake will go ahead, like I say, and stamp it in the smoky slate. And then what I did was I went ahead and die cut it out, and then, oh, let me bring it in. I'm going to use the Wink of Stella and just go over it quickly, and that just adds a lovely little sheen. I don't even think I can get it to shine. I've tried before, but anyway, believe me, it has a shimmer and it's wonderful. So then I put it through the die cutting machine, and this is what we ended up with. So Power of Blue Peter and television and all that good stuff, that's one of those that I did actually go ahead and make earlier. So the front piece, the stamping for that, we're going to do in the boho blue. And we'll have the wishing you and yours. So we'll put that at the top, and then the lovely greeting for the bottom is a season of wonder and happiness. Those were the 2 sets that came out of the Peaceful Season. And that's what makes the front of the card. So let me just go ahead and get that stuck onto its layer, because we can set that aside for a little bit later, because that's the last thing we do, is pop that on the front when everything is built. So when I'm panicking later and go, I can't find the piece that I made, you can all laugh with me at myself. So then the inside pieces, it says, hope you have the merriest season ever. Now, you don't have to stamp the words. You can stamp it all after it was done, although I did find when I wanted to put the snowflakes on, I had to butt a little piece of extra cardstock up to the side just so it didn't get onto the blue behind. So I thought this time I would go ahead and pre-stamp them. So actually I do need my blue back again. So we will put sending you a flurry of happy wishes. Sure it's the right way up. So that goes on the smaller piece, which is jolly lovely, and of course it coordinates with the cardstock. And then the other one says, hope you have the merriest season ever. So it just needs to be far enough down that when it's the slider, it doesn't actually peek out, because we want that to be a surprise when the recipient pulls it. So that's all of the boho blue done. Now we just need to do a lovely grey, a smoky slate. So snowflakes, I got the bigger snowflake And to be honest, I'm really just following the pattern that I've got. And I've just popped a little bit of scratch paper underneath so it doesn't come all over my work surface. So we'll put one there, whoops, and one thereabouts. So that should cover that part of it. And actually we can then go ahead and pop that onto its layer. And then the snowflake one, wishing you a flurry of happy wishes, is going to get this wonderful little curly whirly, which I just think is so great. So we'll pop one there and one up in the top corner, and then just add a few little snowflakes around to fill in some of the space for when it gets pulled up. So that's all the stamping taken care of. So I can pop this onto its layer, and then we can have all the fun of building it. Okie dokie, that's everything. So we'll go back to the main body. These two little pieces, they are going to be what holds the slider together front and back. So what we need to do is just measure this as far as it needs to go. So it's 1 inch by 2 inch. So I'm just going to put a pencil mark there. And on this one, this will all be hidden under this front layer, so you don't have to worry about scribbling on the front of your card. And 1 inch there. So then what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is take an old punch, this lovely label punch. They don't unfortunately do these anymore. So what I did was I punched from as far as it would go in, and I'll show you when I've got them done. I just lined up the edge. If you've got the punch, that's great. I lined up the edge of the punch with each of the 2 pencil marks, and mine wasn't even really long enough, so I just had to go back in and scrunch those pieces out, and then turn it over and do the same thing again. So I'm going to do it from 1 pencil mark as far in as the punch will go, punch that one out, and then because mine's a short little punch, I just had to scrunch the middle out. So if you don't have the punches, what I did was I measured this, and it is 1 1/4 inches. So if you want to just cut in 1 1/4 inches, and then this is about 3/8 of an inch, and then you can just cut that out and have squares. So now we're going to build the slidering part of it. So I'm just going to pop this under here on the inside. And then I'm going to take 2 mini dimensionals and put one each in the hole, and then peel the backings off. And then what we'll do is we will line up this one. So now you have a sliding mechanism, and it goes as far up and down as these pencil lines. So this was the whole base. Well, actually, believe it or not, it actually opens at the top, but it's the same distance, so it's the same concept. So what we need to do is punch the little pulling hole on this one. We need to have this little divot cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the 2 inch hole punch, and I'm just going to cut a small notch out and then close it down and cut a second notch out. So you can try and punch 2 through together. I found it was quite hard to do that, but as long as your notches line up, then we are in business. So now what we need to do is put the 2 slider pieces in. So we'll move it to, so this was the outside. Open it up, so we've got a solid piece at the back, and this piece at the front is now going to be, this is the inside, and we're going to stick the first slider piece on. So what you need to do is put just enough adhesive at the top of the little white scrap. I wouldn't put it all the way down because it doesn't always cover the whole thing. So as long as you've got a row of adhesive at the edge closest to the notch, then we're going to take the front of the card, the inside, sorry, line it up with this edge and then stick it down. So you see how there was a little bit more left? That's why you don't want to put adhesive over everything. But when this is closed, the notch is at the top. And then what we want to do is pull this all the way up as far as it will go until the dimensionals hit the top notch. And then what we'll do is we will stick the inside, the second little surprise greeting, onto the front of the card. So you can actually put 2 rows of adhesive on there. And then all you need to do is line up this greeting so it's nice and even and stick it on. You don't have to worry so much about getting everything even on this little scratch. The scratch, obviously you're going to try and make it as straight as possible, but even if that's a little bit wonky, it doesn't really matter as long as what you have put inside makes it even. So now it's all going to look like this. So now what we need to do is close the card, and my recommendation would be to use tear and tape because we really want it to stay closed. But you need to put the tape as close to the edge. You don't want it to interfere with this sliding part. So put it as close to the edge as you can get it. And where are my snips? And give that a snip the whole length. And then make sure that's straight. And again, the whole length right up to the edge. And that's going to make sure that that card stays firmly closed. So then we're just going to peel the backing papers off. Oops. Come on. Please, thank you. And then we can close this card down on itself, and then it's firmly closed. And now it hasn't impeded the sliding of the card. The last thing we need to do is bring in the front piece, which I have not forgotten where I put it, and attach this to the front. Now there's not very much space between the edges of this and here, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to attach it with dimensionals, but again I'm just going to use the mini dimensionals because we don't want the full-size ones to be too fat. If you don't have any mini dimensionals, there's always that lovely trick of the fat ones, they have the edge, so you could trim that down a little bit, or you could take a full dimensional and cut it in half. You just need to make sure that your slider has enough room to be able to do its job, to slide basically. So we will peel the backing papers off that rather quickly. Pop those to the other side of the room to be found later. Do you ever find when you do dimensionals that you find them in the oddest places, like on the bottom of your slippers, or for some reason they've managed to make it all the way into your kitchen or something? I don't know. So now we can see where this layer is. We know it doesn't want to go further down than the box. Basically what we're going to do is pop this into the middle and eyeball it up so it's nice and even on both sides. but there is still lots of room for it to slide in and out. So what I want to do next is I took some of this lovely iridescent, what's it called? It's called striped trim. It's just so lovely. It's shiny. And then I just took a little piece, really just a little schmeck, and then pop it into the top. And bring in the stapler, which of course now it doesn't want to lie down. Come on, please cooperate with me. Perhaps I'll do it the other way. There we go. And then that just gives a clue to the person that they could pull this. That's why we wanted to make sure the greeting was a little bit further down. And then last but not least, we want to attach the snowflake. So we'll do that with larger dimensionals because we can. And then I'm going to bring in the lovely rhinestones just because they've got a nice little bit of bling and they add to the frostiness of the whole concept. So we'll put a large one. Oops. Oh my goodness me. Put a large one up at the top, a medium one down here, and then the teeny tiny one a little bit further down. So there you have it, 2 cards the same. They've got the lovely slide with the hidden message. They've got the snowflakes that follow through. The greetings are lovely. They're not even Christmas greeting, to be honest. It's a winter greeting, so they're almost non-denominational. So there you have it. Like I say, all the directions and dimensions will be on my blog, so you can pop over there to get all the measurements that you need. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate those, and I'm always grateful for any sort of help I can get to keep my algorithm busy. Any questions or comments, you can pop those in the description box below. And last but not least, thanks so much for watching.